Hey, Warrior Saints. Glad to have you beautiful people with us as we continue our conversation from yesterday. When you started in that last little segment was that you led me to the thought of work ethic.
Yeah.
And that you got to put in the work. Maybe we can get there at the end. Well, I mean, I don't know. We were rambling. I mean, I think clearly, and the data shows it, and not just our opinion, but actual scientific data. The main study from Duke Majan, and that guy's name, sorry, I'm rambling. The gentleman with the last name V who just died was the California lawmaker. When I was reading it, he was the one. So I couldn't remember his name. He was the one who instigated it. And when you read that obit, I was like, yeah, that's the name. Anyways, that guy, even that report refutes the idea of the data they came up with. And that whole shtick I was given about getting on Oprah, because they took that one quote out of context.
Yeah.
All of that to say. All right. Let's just establish, at least for the sake of this conversation, that giving self-esteem rather than as a feeling, as opposed to earning the self-esteem for doing the hard work that goes with it, is probably not a good thing. So let's just, keep going from that perspective and see, does Scripture, does God himself have anything to say about this? I mean, does he weigh in? Obviously, I would say, of course, he weighs in.
Yeah.
God's holy word is not a topical resource guide, that you can go through and look up topics, although it does speak to certain topics, and I think the idea of the crucifixional life, which is by definition a grind, right? Sacrifice is what it means. That's what we keep pushing. I mean, when we talk about being crucifixional, it's the sacrifice of my ego and my will, myself, for the sake of God's will. So it necessarily it necessarily includes that hard work. Anyways, where do you want to start?
It necessitates the hard work.
Yeah.
I'd say it starts in Matthew.
All right.
Matthew chapter 7, at the very end of the Sermon on the Mount, he starts to talk about all of this stuff. And he's talking about all of these words, all of these things that you need to do. And he gives the new law. And he says the following. Go for it.
All right. I enter by the narrow gate. This is Matthew 7, 13 and following, 13 and 14. For the gate is wide and the way is easy that leads to destruction. Right? Wow. And those who enter by it are many. For the gate is narrow and the way is hard that leads to life, and those who find it are few. Right? I mean, he's made distinction right there, the Lord. Was that what you put up there? Oh,
yeah.
You had that look on your face like I read the wrong verse. But
no,
that right there tells you that clearly the Lord is saying that doing the mundane and living a normal life, according to the statutes of the world, is you are not special. Right.
Yeah.
And those are many, many people. The masses do that kind of stuff. And Christ is calling us. He's calling us to something much higher. Right. The Lord does not want us just to live a good life. He wants us to be exceptional human beings. And, he's calling us to more. It's to use the video game parlance, we're leveling up, or he's calling us to level up. In other words, don't be like everybody else. Don't be normal.
Yeah.
Everybody else is normal. Be beyond normal.
And go along that video game thing. How do you level up?
You beat the bad guy.
Experience points.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's experience points, it's experience, it's work, it's doing the business that allows you to level up. It's getting out there. Everyone, and all over the place, they're able to enter by the not narrow gate. It's easy.
Yeah.
But the way of life is narrow. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard work to give up your own will. We talked about it all week last week about how hard it is to sacrifice. When we talked about it through the lens of commitment, but it's through every lens. It's hard work, and it's going to continue to be hard work. That's why Proverbs talks so much about hard work. We hear in chapter 6, verses 6 through 8, go to the ant, O sluggard. I love that word, sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise without having any chief, officer, or ruler. She prepares her food in summer, gathers her sustenance in harvest. So the ant is constantly working. The ant is constantly preparing. We ourselves have to constantly be preparing. We have to constantly be working. We have to constantly be doing the things that we need to do to handle our business, to handle what we need to handle so that we are really able to get out there and put it into practice, right? It's nice to have the Beatitudes. Use them as low-hanging fruit because we talked about the Sermon on the Mount. So the Sermon on the Mount starts with the Beatitudes. Mm-hmm. It's nice to hear those things. and everything that comes after it. But then when we get to the end, you've got to enter by the narrow gate. You've got to do the work to put them into action. Otherwise, none of that stuff is gonna happen. None of that stuff's gonna work unless you do it.
Yeah.
It's not gonna. No one's gonna do it for you, and that's going back to earlier, where that inherent fallacy of we're going to give you self-esteem, in my opinion, comes from. Because nobody can give you what you learn by hard work. I think about my kids at the park climbing on one of those little fake rock walls. The look of joy on their face when they get to the top of those things, after they struggled and they fell and they had a hard time with it. I mean, it's priceless because they know that they did a good job. Not because their dad said you did a good job, but I reinforce it when it's won through hard work. And that's how you actually get it to a place where they're able to pull it off, I think. I don't know.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right, man. I mean, with the hard work line, I mean, it's, you know, I don't know. It's easy for you and I to talk about it because we work so hard, but to share it with the world, I think our duty out there, like, look, there are, maybe many ways, but let's just say there are two ways to live our lives. One of them is the way of the world and what the mundane and normal is put out there. The other we offer, we're trying hard, is to teach the way of the warrior saint, which is the way of the cross. It is the way of Christ. It's a crucifixional life. And that necessitates, doing things, working hard, going above and beyond, doing more than you are asked to do. Like Kobe going to shoot free throws on draft night instead of the steak dinner. And hey, Warrior Saints, thank you so much for being with us. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and share. It helps us get the word out there. And if you want more, visit us at warriorsaints.org and subscribe to Understanding the Bible. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.